When you're ready, bro.
Bye. All right, guys. So this isn't going to be one of those, I want you to like go out and adopt a pet tomorrow. Though I'd like for you to. It's not one of those. I'm not going to guilt trip you. I know you guys probably all thinking of the Sarah McLachlan. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like where you like running for the remote, like trying, wiping tears from your eyes to change it. Little sad cats. It's not about that. It's just. It's to discuss something that's close to me, something I'm passionate about, to raise awareness about pet adoption and also the epidemic that we have as far as pet overpopulation in shelters, because it is bad. It's also safe to assume that you guys probably don't really think of me as like the the dog loving, cat cuddling kind of person, but I actually prefer animals and pets over people. So I'm one of those guys that'll walk up to the pet first and pet it and then just wave at the person and walk away. I've had pets my whole life. I've had dogs, cats, had lizards, I had a duck I think once, and we even had chickens. But there's one dog in particular that kind of brought this whole thing about, and it's actually the current dog that I have at home now. His name's Mac. I decided not to do a video. I'm actually just going to kind of tell you guys the story of how he became my dog. So it was about 5 years ago. Things were going good in my life. I had, a nice apartment where I was allowed to have a dog. So I kind of started thinking about it, and I had like the dog that I wanted. I wanted to get an American Bulldog. I was set on it. I contacted a breeder in Lancaster. I was going to go get him. He's like, hey, you have 6 months to get everything set up. So I was like, all right, okay, I can do that, 6 months. And one day I was driving through Westchester, and I happened to stop by the SPCA and just go in there, because back in high school I used to do like volunteer work, and it wasn't for me necessarily. It was like a class project. So before that, I was doing it just because I had to. But I thought about doing some volunteer work, so I stopped by there and I was introducing myself and talking to the people, and letting all the pups and cats and everything. And on my way out, I noticed that I missed one of the aisles, so I go back there, and lo and behold, he's sitting there in the back corner, with like a squeaky duck in his mouth, like spinning around in circles, like wagging his tail. I've never seen a happier dog in my life. He was hitting his face, and he still does it with his tail. So I was like, okay, well, he's pretty cute. It seems like we get along. So I asked him if I could take him for a walk. And they're like, I can't take him for a walk, but we can put you in this room. So I later found out why. So he put us in this room, and this guy just starts running around, like doing backflips off the wall, running up the walls and down. I'm like, okay, all right, okay, all right. So instantly we fell in love, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I wasn't ready. I didn't have a bowl. I didn't have a leash. I had nothing, absolutely nothing, except for I knew I wanted a dog 6 months down the road. So I go home, kind of decide, I'm like, am I able to have a dog? At the time I was bartending, so my hours were awful, and I was like, okay. So I called him, and I was like, hey, I want to get this dog. His name is Darby, I think, at that point, and I was like, I want to come pick him up. This was a Thursday. I was like, I'll come pick him up on Monday. And she's like, oh, honey, he's not going to be here on Monday. And I was like, all right. I didn't ask any questions why he wouldn't be there or what, but I jumped in the car, went and got him. And, that's kind of that's the story of him. And, all the pets I've had throughout my life, they hold a special place in my heart. And I hope that you guys all can, whether or not you're allowed to have a pet or you want one, I'm sure you all have, and I hope that you can spend some time with an animal. They're good companions. They're nice to have, and even if you can't, there's still ways to help. You can adopt, you can donate, you can volunteer time. So why is this whole like adopt, don't shop? Like what is it all about? And it's estimated that there's 2.7 million animals euthanized in shelters each year, which is it's hard to think about. So, and unfortunately that number is increasing. So what do we do, and why does it happen? Kind of the first and foremost and most known reason is for the overpopulation is because there's unaccounted for and unexpected litters happening. So, say you have an animal that has 7, you don't know what to do with it. You can get rid of 6 of them. What do you do with that last one? Oftentimes it ends up in a shelter, hopefully getting adopted, but not all the time. And pets are known to run away. And if if you don't have them properly marked, if you don't have the right collars on them, or you don't have a microchip, the people that find them, they don't know what to do with them. So they call the, SPCA, they come pick them up, and they end up there, hopefully again getting adopted. And then the worst, I guess, in my opinion, is like irresponsible pet buying. So say somebody's like, oh, I want a pet. Typically, college kids walk in. Like I live in Westchester, and everybody has a pet, and I'm like, you guys can't even think to brush your teeth. So how do you guys take care of this pet? So they go get the pet. It's cute. It's a puppy. They get home. The trash is knocked over. Their shoes are destroyed. Their pillows are everywhere. And I'm like, well, I don't want this pet. So they take it back. You can't take it back to the pet store where they got it, the breeder. So you take it back there. So how do we combat the overpopulation and kind of the whole shelter thing? And we know this guy, right? Bob Barker. You've heard him say it at the end of the show. And I think one way that we can help is to be, to raise awareness as far as like spaying and neutering pets. And a lot of people will say it's inhumane, but you have to think of it in as far as spaying and neutering. The process isn't that hard for the pets. It's pretty simple. Veterinarians do what they have to do. It's pretty quick. But just think about it: if it has a litter and those 7 cats go to the shelter, don't get adopted, happens. So just think of it in those terms. And also pet stores and breeders, I prefer, I'm not saying that they all don't, but oftentimes they don't screen the people that are buying these pets. Like it's a business. People are walking in, they hand them $1,000 and they walk out with a pet. So they end up in the shelters, and then of course we can adopt. That's a way that we can help too. And there's also fostering, which is a possibility. So how does the whole adoption process work? Like oftentimes people don't know how it works, and even in our questionnaires, it showed that 78% of you, most of you knew where a pet store was, where an SPCA was, but you didn't know, 78% of you guys didn't know how the whole pet adoption process works. And it's actually fairly simple. It's meant to be simple, it's meant to be easy, it's supposed to be fun. So on average, it's anywhere from free. Like they'll do free adoption days, but most of you looking at paying is like $200, and you're like, oh well, I'm adopting a pet, I'm helping them save a life. What's that cost, or what does that cover? So that's covering your all the pets' vaccinations. It's comprehensive exam. It's tags. They do a microchip and the neutering as well. And then the other rebuttal from people is like, oh, I want a purebred dog, or I want a specific cat, or I have a family with a bunch of kids. So they're willing. Most shelters are willing to work with you as far as finding the right pet. They'll kind of take down your information, figure out what it is that you want, and as soon as the right one fits, or right couple of dogs or cats fits, they'll give you a call. And then what can you, I guess on the other side, like what do you expect from a breeder? And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying like breeders are bad or awful or like the devil or anything, but it's just kind of, again, they're working as a business, so at the end of it, it's a dollar value, and that's what benefits them. So there you're looking at $1,000 price tag plus your vaccinations, your vet bills, your your neutering. So those can add up pretty quick. And so lastly, I guess in closing, why do we adopt? What can we take from this? What can we do? And it's you're guided in the right direction. These people are here to help. These people have big hearts. The people that work there, most of them are volunteers, some are employees, but most of them are there for the benefit of the animals as well as the people adopting. And for what it's worth, it's a little bit cheaper, which is nice, and they come out ready to go. And lastly, I guess just think of you saved 2 lives. Like the pet that you got, and then the one that's coming off the street to go into that cage after that, so. That's it, guys. I appreciate your time, and if you have questions, I have, you know, friends, family members that do fostering and, you know, volunteer work, so I'm here to help if you guys have any questions.